Of a bad blood series, the last chance to settle the score.
My dream is to blindside a quarterback and just rip his head off and just throw it on the side.
Auburn is thinking revenge. The Seminoles have had their number, while win number 200 is on Bobby Bowden's mind. It's been a constant for 8 decades. Orange and Crimson clashing.
Play from shocking the A's in 4 straight in the World Series. If you missed it last night, Cincy clobbering Oakland 8-3. A pair of homers for Chris Sabo. Now in Game 4, as the Reds go for that shocking sweep, the Game 1 starters, Jose Rio and Dave Stewart, will go tonight in Oakland.
For the 3rd straight season. Notre Dame's month on top was preserved by heaven-sent bounces like the one into the hands of Adrian Gerald to set up a last-minute win at Michigan State. But against Stanford 2 weeks ago, the hand of fate took back the favor as a game-winning pass bounced off the hands of Derek Brown.
Back to pass Meyer, rolling right. Looking upfield, protection breaking down, throwing for the goal line for the tight end. He can't hold it, it's incomplete. The game's over. Brown.
So Michigan became the first once-beaten team to grab the top spot this early in the season. It took 6 days, a gutsy Michigan State team, and a badly blown call to wipe out the Wolverines' dreams.
Gerbeck from inside the 5, back to pass, throws it is caught and dropped. Caught and dropped. It is no good. No good. No good. To Desmond Howard.
So yes, Virginia, you are ranked number 1. Now the task of handling the weekly pressure. The road to a New Year's Day showdown for the national championship contains only one large obstacle, a home date with unbeaten Georgia Tech in 2 weeks. An upset by the Yellow Jackets would vault them into the top 6 or 7 and make them a good bet to go unbeaten into the Citrus Bowl. But it's almost certain that they need some help on New Year's Day to win it all, even with a 12-0 record. There are 7 teams with imperfect records still ranked higher than Tech. 2 of them, the Canes and the Irish, face elimination from the chase with a loss or a tie today. If Miami wins, their biggest test might be next week's road trip to Texas Tech. Their 3 future Big East buddies, Pitt, BC, and Syracuse, don't figure to challenge Miami in the Orange Bowl, where the Canes have won 33 straight. Luhold says his team is not a national title contender. Sure, he's sandbagging, but he also knows the Irish face a road finale against USC and a daunting date with the unbeaten Volunteer Army in Knoxville November 3rd. As for the Vols, ranked 3rd at 4-0-2, a win over the Irish would leave a meeting with Ole Miss as the biggest hurdle to a part in the New Year's Day drama. Number 5 Auburn needs to conquer the state of Florida, the Seminoles tonight, and the Gators in Gainesville. They also probably need a Tennessee loss, since the Sugar Bowl almost always takes the highest-ranked team in case of an SEC tie. Nebraska has climbed to number 4 and wins over Colorado, and Oklahoma would put them in the Orange Bowl with a chance to play for it all, or maybe back into it with a loss by Virginia elsewhere. Unbeaten Houston won't be anywhere in the postseason, but the Cougars' probation makes them a wild card contender. Would 11-0 in the clubhouse be good enough if chaos reigns in the bowls? Probably not, but don't rule it out in this crazy season.
Illinois and Washington.
When the Seminoles were handed their scalps by Miami. Bobby Bowden's club has had a much-needed week off to rebound because it travels into one of the most difficult places to play in college football, Auburn's Jordan-Hare Stadium. But if anybody can conquer the Auburn dominance at home, it's the Seminoles of Florida State, the last team to beat the Tigers at Jordan-Hare. It was a convincing 34-6 smashing on Auburn's home turf 3 years ago. But since then, Auburn has gone unbeaten in 19 games at home. And like the Seminoles, a loss would take Auburn out of the national championship picture. The Tigers' running attack should be a key here. The Tigers are expected to run right at that Seminole defense, a defense which features only 2 senior starters. And after all, wouldn't you try and take advantage of a unit which has given up more than 100 points in 5 games?
I would. That's what I would do if I was them. I mean, they see the film, they're bound to like what they saw. And they've got a veteran offensive line that can really block. And they got big veteran running backs. I think that's what they'd like to do no matter what.
I've played against them 3 times in my college career, and I've came up as on the losing end all 3 times. So, you know, it's definitely a motivating game for me, and I know for the rest of the seniors, because it's our last chance to win against Florida State.
It is the biggest game of the year for us, because if we lose, that'll probably knock us out of the national championship picture. And if we win, that'll put us back in it.
Pretty much sums that up, Danny. Pat Dye has never lost 4 straight to any school during his coaching tenure. How do you see today's games matching up?
Well, as you just stated, since 1987, when Florida State thrashed Auburn 34-6, you got to figure Auburn's won, 19 straight home games, but there is a blemish there. That was against Tennessee. They had a tie against Tennessee. Florida State, they definitely have the better athletes, Dan, but their problem is 24 of their starting 44 are either freshmen or sophomores, and that inexperience factor has hurt Florida State. They've had injuries to the defensive line. That's also hurt the Seminoles. Auburn's defense to win this game must play better than it did against Tennessee, and they have to let, they being Auburn, they have to let their offense wear Florida State down with the running game. Auburn's offense is led by freshman Stan White, and that's why I like Auburn. I don't think that Auburn can play catch-up ball, and again, they must punish. Auburn has basically no passing game, so they must punish Florida State.
The winner has gone on to the national title 4 times. 3 times it's been Miami. But after today, the series will become merely a memory.
The Hurricanes, the Irish, hot blood or hearts and flowers. Depends on whether the cameras are rolling.
You know, they're a great bunch of guys. You know, I feel that, you know, we could go out and have a good time with them off the field.
I know a couple of guys on the team, but, you know, anytime you play anybody, a team like this with as much talent as they have, you have to give them much respect.
Hard to believe after studying the recent history. In '85, Jimmy Johnson's Canes showed no mercy. A 58-7 humiliation in Jerry Faust's final game. '88, the Irish prevail. After the infamous pregame brawl and a dubious fumble call killed one Miami drive, the Irish survived by breaking up a 2-point conversion. Last year, Miami crushed Notre Dame's dreams of repeating as #1. In front of a delirious Orange Bowl crowd, it was 27-10. The decade saw an incredible 70 players who are now in the NFL battle in the Canes-Irish series. And it all ends today, thanks to Notre Dame's philosophy of rotating opponents.
We've taken 2 of the best football teams, if not the 2 best programs in the last 4 or 5 years, who have played each other, which has become the game in college football. Now we don't play any longer in the regular season, and to me it's a tragedy.
I would like to have gone down there one more time. If I had a regret, I would like to have gone down there one more time.
We just hope that we can win, you know, and have black and whites for eternity, basically.
Our seniors want to go out, want to play hard, and have a big win against them and be able to, you know, have that bragging right for the rest of our lives.
Not merely bragging rights, but the right to fight for the national championship is at stake. And with both teams already once beaten, this final battle means more than ever.
We have to get over this hump. There's no tomorrow if we lose.
With 2 losses, I mean, you're out of contention for the national championship, really, unless some crazy things happen again. I just think we do have to come away with a win this weekend to keep our goals in mind.
It is the kind of confrontation that makes injuries insignificant. Bone spurs make just walking agony for Miami's Russell Maryland, but he will take his position in the trenches.
Notre Dame is the cure of all ills, you know, for our team. Nobody gets hurt this week.
As for all that lovey-dovey stuff, forget it when toe meets leather. History and circumstance have a way of bringing bad blood right to the surface.
I think it's there is just asleep right now. But when we get up there, I think it's going to boil right back up.
You step out on the field, you lose that respect, and then you just try to go out and, you know, beat up on your guy.
Believe me, words will be spoken. Maybe not in the newspaper on camera, but on the field of play.
You can believe that. Now it's midterm time. Must win number 200 at Auburn, or watch his title hopes slip away again. Game day coming back in a minute. Now Cook gets his chance to talk about the causes
of the game, but there was one small problem. It was 5th down. Never has a fuss been raised over a 5th like this since Prohibition. And on the same day, in Columbus, Ohio, Illinois threw a forward pass for a touchdown, except there was one obvious problem. The pass was thrown over the line of scrimmage. The same officials moved to Ann Arbor, Michigan the next week, and there was a mugging in the end zone. Michigan lost 28-27. There was no dead body, but there will be no national championship for the Wolverines.
See it every week. I mean, everybody sees it. You see it on TV. You see it every week. Philosophy of officiating, don't throw your flag. Some of you guys don't even need a flag. Just don't throw it. You got no call, don't throw it. Don't throw it. Don't throw it.
Now everybody wants instant replay, and everybody's crazy. You can't have instant replay during the regular season for one simple reason. It's too expensive.
We can't have instant replay. There's no way you can have instant replay, because to have instant replay, the game has to be covered by TV.
College football, it's not possible to do that because all games are not televised. Even in a conference, you would have to have all games televised with the same number of cameras to do that, to make it fair for everybody in the conference.
If you want to have instant replay in the bowl games, especially if a game's for the national title, that makes sense. But I'm old-fashioned, and I don't think a college football game should take longer than a miniseries. But here are some random thoughts on officiating. Set up a central office. Pay a few people. Heck, you're charging people $20 to $30 to see a football game. Pay a few bucks and have a group of people as signed officials for football games and say you can't officiate the same team more than once every 2 years.
Well, obviously, officials make mistakes. We all make mistakes, and it's regrettable that it happens, but I think it happens in all sports. I think it's part of the territory, it's part of the game.
So with all the yelling and screaming about officiating, remember two things. Officials are human, and it's only a game.
The SEC nemesis, 7 straight against the conference. He'd love to win his 200th career game right here. A lot of his relatives are Tiger fans, and they're going to be there tonight. Pat Dye has never lost to anyone 4 straight years, but he's lost 3 straight to FSU. How much does this one mean? Terrell Buckley knows.
It is the biggest game of the year for us, because if we lose, that'll probably knock us out of the national championship picture. And if we win, that'll put us back in it.
Tonight, the young Noles will need to show more fire early than they did against Miami when they fell way behind. Bobby Bowden coached conservatively against the Canes, but he's had 2 weeks to cook up surprises for Auburn. FSU teams have always been able to score better than anyone against the Tigers, but their concerns are on defense, where they face Auburn's newfound passing prowess. Stan White, a redshirt freshman, is throwing for about 290 yards per game. But tailback James Joseph is healthy now, and the Seminoles surrendered 349 yards on the ground to Miami. So look for Pat Dye to re-emphasize the run.
If I had my choice, sure, I'd hand it off, and we would run it 75 times a game and throw it none.
You're going to be able to play that old-time Auburn football today against FSU and win?
I agree with Pat Dye. In fact, if I was coaching Auburn, I'd run the ball every single time against Florida State's interior line. On defense, they're young and they're hurting. But watch Auburn to win this game by faking those runs and throwing over the top for touchdowns.
Okay, now before that game on ESPN, we'll have the Crimson Tide and the Volunteers.
Playing like Kareem Abdul-Jabbar and jumping like Michael Jordan. Watch the athletic ability. Up in the air, hit as he catches the ball, turns almost completely upside down, and hangs on to it. Woo! I'm not even going to say anything else. I'm just going to watch. Third down, Michigan. 8 yards to go.
59-0 over Akron. Let's get out to Jordan Hare. Auburn waiting in the wings.
Thanks so much, Tim Brando. You know, when a youngster makes up his mind to sign with an Auburn or a Florida State, it's nights like this that help him make that decision. 2 members of the nation's top 10. A game with national title hopes on the line. It's the 7th-ranked Seminoles against the 5th-ranked Tigers. It's a Saturday of survival for 2 teams with designs on a college football championship. Over the last 3 seasons, no team has come closer to a national title than Florida State. In 1990, Bobby Bowden's Seminoles are knocking on the door again. The Pat Dye decade at Auburn has been one of sheer excellence, but now the Tigers hope to finally claw their way to the top. Both teams have suffered a jolt on the road to number 1. Now nothing less than perfection will do, or the journey comes to an end. Jordan Hare Stadium in Auburn, Alabama, on this Elimination Saturday in college football. Let's show you what has happened with the AP Top 10 so far today. Number 1, Virginia has won. Miami has been upset. Tennessee has been upset. Nebraska wins. Of course, Auburn and Florida State here tonight. Number 6, Notre Dame will move up. Illinois is victorious. Houston wins. And Michigan has been upset by Iowa today. everybody. I'm Ron Franklin, and welcome into an absolutely super college football night again here on ESPN. With the games we've been having on the Saturday night primetime telecast, it kind of reminds me of the old radio broadcaster that used to cup his hand over his ear and say, and the hits just keep on coming, because that's the way it's been, and tonight should be no exception. We've got two clubs that were dominant in the decade of the 80s, but the one thing that eluded both of these ball clubs was a national championship. Gary Danielson joins me again on the telecast tonight, and Gary, by golly, what's going to happen is whoever loses this tonight is going to be saying, get them next year as far as the national title.
No doubt about it, Ron. You know, Florida State, though, a little younger, and I think they'll be a better football team next year than they are this year. But they were shocked into reality last week when they faced Miami, and really the feeling down at Florida State was they lost a little poise, and Bobby Bowden took care of that. To me, like he's looking for a couple guys to step forward and be the couple leaders, and he's going to need more than just a couple if he can do it in this place tonight down here in Auburn.
You know, one of the things, leadership is not a problem for Auburn University. They have senior people in key positions, and one of the things for the Seminoles is they have some young people in some key positions.
Well, this Auburn team, a lot of veterans, good senior leadership. They've won 3 straight SEC championships, but the word down here all week is they don't remember that. They remember losing 3 state times to Florida State, and in the back of their mind, they remember the end of last game when they were taunted a bit, and they will be very focused, and they'll be ready to lay some leather on everybody tonight.
Well, it is the second year of a 10-year contract between these two clubs. ESPN's College Football Saturday, Florida State versus Auburn, is brought to you by Jordan-Hare Stadium, filled to capacity, and down on the stadium floor, the visitors from Tallahassee, Florida. Here come the Seminoles. To welcome to the telecast tonight down on the field level. Let's go to Kevin Kiley.
Thank you, Ron. An unbelievable crowd down here. 51-year-old Jordan-Hare Stadium, a definite home field advantage. Only 8 times in Pat Dye's 10 years have the Tigers lost here. It's a very special place to Auburn players, past and present.
I mean, no matter what the coaches did to prepare, or no matter what you've done all your life, it's like being born again. I mean, I guess a Christian would say it's the most memorable experience of his life. That's what you feel when you go through a Jordan-Hare game. It's like starting all over. No matter what you learn about pressure, and no matter what you learn about crowd noise, it all just blanks out. You feel like you're in the best place in the world. I mean, you love that atmosphere.
The intensity down here is incredible. Only one time in the last 20 games has Auburn lost the game here. Who was it to? The Road Warriors of Bobby Bowden, Florida State in 1987. It is absolutely jumping in this joint. Ron, back to you.
Okay, Kevin Kiley, thanks so much. There he is, the head of the Road Warriors, Bobby Bowden. His road record, 58 wins, 67, almost 68% since coming to Tallahassee, Florida as the head coach. And on the other side of the field, the former Georgia Bulldog in his 10th year, now with Auburn, 85, 25-3, a winning percentage, 76.8. They are standing at Jordan-Hare, and for a goodly part of the evening, don't be surprised if they never sit. Florida State will kick off to Auburn. Richie Andrews, a senior from Fort Lauderdale, Florida, 5'11", 165 pounds.
Herbert Casey, Alex Smith, and Pedro Cherry are the three deep men for the Auburn Tigers. Casey is a sophomore from Foley, Alabama, averaging almost 28 yards per return. Tickets in this stadium for the students is first come, first serve. 2.5 hours ago, when the gates were opened, they came storming in, and they have not been sitting and not quiet since. Here's the kickoff. And now for tonight's diehard starting lineup. At quarterback, the redshirt freshman from Birmingham, Stan White. Tony Richardson, also a freshman, and James Joseph, the running backs. The wide receivers, Greg Taylor and Shane Wasden. The tight end is Victor Hall. Up front, and they're good ones, all of them. Bob Meeks is the center. The two guards, All-American Ed King and Tim Tillman. The tackles, Wayne Gandy and Rob Selby. White throws on first down, has Wasden complete at the 26. Defensively, the starters for Florida State, Joe Ostazuski at nose guard. The tackles are McIntosh and Troy Sanders. The outside backers, Anthony Moss and Howard Dinkins. Marvin Jones, he is a great young freshman, and Kirk Carruthers, the inside backers. At the corners, Errol McCorvey and Terrell Buckley. And Bill Reagans and John Davis are the safeties. Greg Taylor to the 28-yard line. Well, I have to say I'm a tad surprised that Auburn comes out throwing the football. They haven't tested run at all, have they?
The word was all week by all the experts that are supposed to say it was, well, they'll come out and just try to run. Miami ran for over almost 350 yards the last game. Florida State teed it up, and all of a sudden Auburn comes out, throws two passes.
That's that old thing when you got a good horse riding.
He loves Stan White.
There's your first run. James Joseph cuts it back to the right and out to the 33-yard line. Defensively, Marvin Jones from that strong inside linebacking position.
Well, if they're successful throwing the ball early, Ron, that'll just open up those holes, as you know, and they will be successful running the ball. All week, Florida State worried about stopping the run, and he comes out and throws two passes. I like the game plan so far.
1,275 yards. That's second in the Southeastern Conference. Joseph, and this time there is nothing doing. Marvin Jones, number 55, one of the first men to come up and make the stick.
That time, Auburn went a little bit unbalanced line, and they're going to try to run the ball at this man, Kirk Carruthers, a preseason All-American pick in some people's minds. Had some tough times earlier this year, but he weaved through everybody and made the stop on that. Kirk from East Lansing, Michigan, goes about 205, and everybody thinks we're going to run the ball at Kirk. Let's see if he can up to the task tonight.
It was Dinkins that jumped for a moment, got back on time. Joseph can't turn the corner, and he's going to be knocked down for a loss. Anthony Moss is the guy who turned the play inside, and that's excellent defense by the Seminoles. And now it will be third down, and for Auburn, they need the 43 and a half.
That time, Florida State put an 8-man front on them. It's a version of the Bear defense. They put their two linebackers out wide. They're going to crash in and try to blow up that running game with two wide linebackers.
44% this season on third down conversions for the Tigers. Draw play to Joseph, puts a head down, and with that, still not going to have the first down. It's Kirk Carruthers, who he challenged and did not win.
One of the things I don't think Pat Dye wants to do, he'd like to open up this ball game, but I don't think he wants to make an early mistake and give the game to Florida State. That was third and long. He called a little bit of a conservative play, a draw. He'll punt the ball and see the way Florida State wants to handle it.
Richie Nell with his 18th punt of the season. Florida State had pressure on him. This is Buckley. Fair catch at the 24-yard line. The starters for the Seminoles, Brad Johnson out of Black Mountain, North Carolina at quarterback. He'll have Amp Lee and Edgar Bennett behind him at the running back spot. Shannon Baker and Lawrence Dawsey, the wide receivers. The tight end, Dave Roberts. Up front, Robbie Baker is the center. The guards, Hayward Haynes and Robert Stevenson, and the tackles, Reggie Dixon and Kevin Mancini. Virtually the same offensive group that started against Auburn last year. Edgar Bennett, and boy, does he get whacked down by Crawford and also Ramsey. Here are the starters for the Tigers defensively. Walter Tate is the nose guard. The defensive tackles, Fernando Harn is starting tonight along with David Rocker. Larry Young and Ricky Sutton, the outside backers. At the inside, Harrigan Cunningham and Darrell Crawford. The cornerbacks, Eric Ramsey and Corey Barlow. And the safeties, Dennis Wallace and John Wiley. Florida State keeps the ball on the ground, and the junior out of Jacksonville takes it forward to around the 32. Cunningham and Tate combining.
Florida State is trying to be a little bit more diversified in their attack. They're trying to get it to their backs, to their tight ends. One of the things that Wayne Hall, defensive coordinator for Auburn, said, though, is they're throwing a little bit more than usual. He suspected they would change up for them, though, and try to run the ball, and he's right so far.
Seminoles need 2. Bennett very close. I don't think he got it. Barlow is the man who made the really fine one-on-one hit in the flat. And from where they've marked it, he'll miss it by a half yard.
This was 3rd and short, Ron, and what Florida State tried to do was to take this man right here, the tight end, and come in and pick for the fullback out into the flat. Watch the play. He'll come in and pick. Watch it get in the way. But the other pursuit, Auburn was in a zone and got away with a good defensive call.
Flag has been thrown. Overton makes the fair catch. Back at the 26. The marker came from the Auburn end of the field down toward the secondary. Wasden making the fair catch, and now the discussion goes on, and Florida State players jumping up and down. That penalty is going to bring a first down for the Seminoles, so the offensive team will be back on the field, and I think that right now Pat Dye does not understand what that call was.
From as upset as he is, obviously it's got to be a first down call, and it was thrown really far back in the secondary also.
Yards stepped off against Auburn, and here comes the call.
Illegal participation, defense, 12 men on the field, first down.
12 men on the field. Oh my goodness.
When we were here for the Tennessee game, remember they had all those penalties early in the game, jumping off sides, men in motion. Those are the type of penalties, a substitution penalty that you just really is uncalled for, because you're going to get the other penalties as the game goes on.
Been thrown at the 34-yard line after the interception, and it would appear that Auburn will be called for the clip, but the Tigers will have the football.
This ball was intended for Lawrence Dawsey. A little play-action pass to hold the linebackers. There you see him. He comes up. He tries to find the hole in the zone, but Crawford reads the eyes and watch him back into it. That's a ball that Johnson never saw the linebacker. He looks, he makes a sure throw, he thinks, and all of a sudden there's a line. Oh, wrong color. Uh-oh. Well, you got to tiptoe to the the sideline and say, Coach, I'm sorry I never saw that guy. He says, what do you mean? He's got a blue shirt on.
6 interceptions for the Auburn Tigers this year. That's the first for Darryl Crawford. Joseph puts the head down and takes it out to the 30-yard line. 55, you see Marvin Jones and also Leon Fowler, sophomore from Fort Myers, Florida, the free safety, coming up to help out on the tackle.
James Joseph is healthy. He's had a bad knee. He's come back. They feel that he's ready to run tonight. He's an emotional leader of this football team. And when he runs well, this Auburn football team is very, very tough to defend.
That's 5 carries for Joseph now for 18 yards. War Eagle.
Fair front, 8-man front.
Hit from behind. Ball is loose. Recovered. Nope, they're going to say incomplete pass.
Whoa.
Howard Dinkins is the man who started the collision.
3rd and 4 at the 30.
I don't know if Stan White and Shane Wadston was on the same page here. He called an audible against the 8-man front, but he took a very deep drop, and Shane was running a 5-yard out. Look at him, look. He only has 2 people going out for the pass, and Shane only went out about 6 yards on that play as if he thought it was a quick out audible. A little bit of a mix-up on that play.
Joseph at the 3rd and 4. Oh, what an open field hit, and that's Marvin Jones.
Ooh.
Folks, this kid is a freshman from Miami. 68 tackles, 6 tackles for losses, and here's a real good example why. Oh, what a player.
Runs a 4.5 40. A true freshman. He just out of high school last year, and he met it head on. This is big-time football. He's a big-time player.
Now with the second punt, his first good for 36. And this one is end over end. Good return ball for Buckley. And he will be stopped at the 41, maybe the 42. Roy Hunter on the special teams. No score. 8:32 left first period.
Ball kick, 31 yards.
Only Sears Brand Central has all the name brand electronics you want, like this LXI 2-Lux camcorder. Includes light attachment and telephoto lens. Only $799.95 at Sears Brand Central nationwide.
It's feeding time for the beast in the basement again. And you know what that old furnace is going to do to your utility bills. Isn't this the year you should find out about the savings Tempstar's high efficiency can bring? Replace that thing in the basement with a high efficiency Tempstar furnace. Start the savings, not the beast.
Here's another demonstration of Chevy versus Ford. This one has socially redeeming values. We're loading up these full-size pickups with recyclables. The Chevy has a standard payload advantage of over 400 pounds.
That's a pile of payload the Ford leaves behind.
No wonder so many truck owners recycle their trucks for Chevys. More people are winning with the heartbeat of America. Today's truck is Chevrolet.
Only Sears Brand Central has all the name brand electronics you want, like this LXI 2-Lux camcorder. Includes light attachment and telephoto lens. Only $799.95 at Sears Brand Central nationwide.
ESPN's College Football Saturday, Florida State versus Auburn, is brought to you by Tempstar Furnaces. You can rely on the star. And by Chevy Trucks. More people are winning with the heartbeat of America. Ron Franklin along with Gary Danielson and Kevin Kiley, Auburn, Alabama. And you remember what we told you a couple of weeks ago, in case you missed the telecast. That is for the people being held hostage in Iraq. And it will stay there until they have been released. Amp Lee tries to turn it outside. John Wilson, a senior from Haleyville, Alabama, comes up to make the stop defensively.
3-yard gain to the 45. 7
You know, one of the trademarks of an Auburn defense, Ron, is that they substitute early, and they already have. They've got John Wilson in, Richard Shea, number 93, the nose guard has rotated in, and number 51, James Willis, has rotated in. They attempt to keep their people fresh. They want to win this game, if they have to, be fresh in the fourth quarter.
Good point, that it worked well against Tennessee. Short drop this time, tipped, and Baker catches it, but he was out of bounds.
Oh. That was close.
Corey Barlow tipped the ball.
Barlow made a nice break on this ball. It was just a quick out. He read the quarterback's drop, and had this ball been thrown very, very accurately, it was a little high, he might have had a play on it. Watch, he's backing. Whoa, that one's a little close either way. Watching, he almost got his hand on it, and a nice concentration. And he's even thinking about keeping his feet in.
Well, he had his feet. It was his backside. They didn't come down
his
first.
His backside did hit down first.
That's right.
I think he was out of bounds.
That's a good call. Lee of a quick screen pass, and he is not going to have it. They circled him out of the backfield. He'll be to the 49. Barlow and James Willis combining to the stop, and you could see just how far the Seminoles have to go.
I think that was one of the situations where Bobby Bowden said, all right, we want to throw the ball, but we don't want to make a mistake here. Let's punt the ball. Our defense is playing good football.
Scotty McLaren, sophomore from Griffin, Georgia. This punt's not going to turn over. In fact, a tough one to catch, and a fair catch is made by Shane Wasden. No score. Just over 7 minutes to play in this first quarter.
When judgment comes, I will be ready. I will be ready. When judgment comes, I will be ready.
James Buster Douglas, Evander Holyfield for the undisputed heavyweight championship of the world. Brought to you by the undisputed king of beers. Budweiser presents The Moment of Truth. October 25th at the Mirage, Las Vegas.
Think about it. There are thousands of building products in there, so which do you ask for? Just ask for Georgia Pacific. Even if you forget that our Southern Gold plywood is double sanded for smoothness. Even if steam cured and solid lineal are Greek to you, just remember that every GP product has superior performance built in. So if ceramic coated granules or Acraglass top coat seem impossible to remember, just ask for Georgia Pacific. That's all you need to know.
HBO's hit football series First and 10 presents It's Your Choice. In this episode, Jethro is up against former heavyweight champ Larry Holmes. Will Jethro A, renew his life insurance, B, tell Larry his shoes untied, or C, be knocked senseless? It's your choice. It's irreverent. It's irresponsible. Only HBO would dare run a series like this. If you said C, you made the right choice. First and 10, catch it only on HBO.
Florida State and Auburn, no score, just over 7 minutes to play in this opening quarter. Well, the Road Warriors, we talked about the record under Bobby Bowden, 5-1 at LSU, 4-2 at Nebraska, 2-0 at Ohio State, 1-0 at Notre Dame. And of course, when Bobby came to Tallahassee, it was a situation where he was trying to get a program going.
He actually
Look at this. More games he has played away than at home. 83% at home, 68% on the road.
From where he came, he built a program by winning on the road.
Richardson gets the handoff and immediately gets Marvin Jones.
Guess who?
Boy.
This guy just has a taste for the football. He reads the triangle of the guards and the ball carrier very quickly, and he just fills, and he fills with strength. He keeps his feet moving, and he just puts his hat right on there. I mean, this guy played high school ball last year, Ron. How would you like your son playing against this guy last year in high school?
It was a picture-perfect tackle. His legs were coiled, and then he just sprung. Breaks it for a short opening out over the 15-yard line.
That was nice. He had nice patience with the hole that time. That's what Danley does. He's a senior. He's been in a lot of big football games. 1988 All-SEC. There you see him 6th all-time. There's some big names in front of him in the 1 through 5. He's just very patient and hit the hole and had a nice positive play. It was to the safety.
Florida State defensively, before Miami, 117 yards a game versus Miami, 344 as far as the rush. Zips it over the middle, incomplete. Wanted Victor Hall. Florida State stands to get really good field position out of this, unless Richie Nell can boom one.
Well, Stan White is just a beauty to watch throw the ball. He gets it out of his hand so quickly. When you say zip, I think that's perfectly how he throws it. That's just how it looks. It's zip, it's gone. That time, though, he threw it so hard. The tight end was only about 5 or 6 yards away that there was no time to react to it.
Well, you see the numbers on Buckley. You don't want to give him too much of a line drive kick, or he can do something with it in a hurry. This is a good coverage kick. Very high, wobbly spiral. And the ball is fumbled. Baxter recovers for Auburn at the 45. Make it Al Nash, number 58, rather than 85.
Talked to the Florida State coaches. They wanted to get out of this first quarter without a big turnover, and already it's happened. He just flat out dropped it. It was great coverage, but it was a high kick. Just very routine. Just went right through his hands.
Baxter did get on it first, but it looks as though Nash has been given credit for the recovery. Danley finds a crease and takes it down close to the 40-yard line. That's going to be a gain of 5.5, maybe 6. Marvin Jones tripped him up.
You can see it in his eyes. I mean, the intensity's there. There's no hype. There's no cheering. He expects to gain 5 or 6 yards. He's patient. He runs through it. He makes the play happen. He gets what he expects out of the play.
Now, he's been injured during the early part of the season. Finally, almost 100%. Use him again. It's close to the Auburn first down at the Florida State 36. Marvin Jones is going for double figures in the first quarter, and we have a marker thrown down at the 25 in the secondary.
Well, the play was between Greg Taylor and Will McCorvey. And Taylor came and threw on him, and there was a retaliation type play.
Let me make a point that we talked about in the opening of this telecast. Bobby Bowden was extremely upset, and you saw the video of him on the sideline in Miami, and he said they did not play with poise, and already.
Personal foul. Defense, automatic first down.
You're right. When he was yelling at his players, it wasn't extra. Here's the replay right here. Greg Taylor, if you play for Auburn, you got to go down and block. And I'm sorry, that's the way it is, big-time football. Guys are going to throw at you. He didn't hurt you. He's got to step on him. That's silly. Very silly.
Official, the linesman coming in from the far side. Players did not hear it, as it is terribly noisy in this stadium. So it is no play, and they will line up and do it again. But to complete my point, is Coach Bowden was not pleased with the lack of poise that Florida State played with against the Hurricanes. And so far tonight, they have opened it up with the fumbled punt, which was a tough one. Remember, I said it was a wobbly spiral, but still, he just dropped it, and now a 15-yard meaningless penalty.
You know what else hurts is that when you're making mistakes like this, when you're a young team, some of your key players, Brad Johnson and some of you guys you're counting on making mistakes, even magnifies the mistake.
Danley breaks up one tackle, fighting his way, still on his feet inside the 15.
Boy, Danley takes this one in here. This is such an emotional lift for your teammates. When you take it up inside, the line's just coming out. That's coming across. They just a little trap block, and he just hits the hole. And he keeps those legs and feet moving, and he runs, and he pushes, and he doesn't wait for a whistle. He just keeps running. What effort. The whole bench just exploded on the play.
That's 4 carries for him for 23. It is a second down as Joseph comes back in. Auburn needs 4. Richardson. The 5.5-yard line. Buckley pushes him out.
Richardson, the fullback, is another true freshman, and he bounces this one outside. Keeps his hands up. Look at him shift the ball over so he can straight arm right there. That's a freshman doing that. That's a well-coached football player shifting it so he can take care of his hands.
If 62 Troy Sanders had not tripped him up, he would have turned the corner sooner. He might have gotten to the end zone.
He would have been full speed quicker. You're right, Ron.
Richardson, he'll score. He is a freshman from Dalyville, Alabama. It's his 3rd touchdown. John Bonwell sends it right down Broadway, and it's Auburn, 7-0.
Pat Dye comes right back to the freshman back right here. Turns, spins, nothing fancy about this. Good block there by the tight end, Fred Baxter. They like that guy, only a sophomore, and he just walks into the end zone.
So with 3:34 left in the opening period, the Tigers strike first.
In Florida these days, huge holding companies have gobbled up banks at an alarming rate. Big banks with big buildings, with big offices in big cities. Not bad if you live in the big city. But in our part of Florida, there's a lot more to a bank than a big building. Like convenience, with more banking locations than anyone. And people you can count on when you need them. Because it's not what's on the outside that makes you successful. It's what's on the inside that counts. The Capital City Bank Group.
Beneath the swirling waters of the most sensibly designed, most dependable spa sold today lies a secret back rub that no other spa can deliver. That's why, until you feel a hot spring spa, you haven't seen what a spa can do. Come test a hot spring spa, a smart choice.
See the Hot Spring Portable Spa at Pensacola Pools in Carriage Gate Center on Thomasville Road.
One full day of NFL action in just 60 minutes. In-depth highlights of every game played on Sunday. It's football's fastest hour, NFL Primetime. Sundays at 7 Eastern, only on ESPN. 2 races remain. Ayrton Senna needs 1 victory to clinch the championship. Alain Prost must win both. The excitement continues at the Grand Prix of Japan. Sunday morning at 8:30 Eastern on ESPN.
Auburn takes advantage of the turnover. They go on top, 7-0. Gary?
Ron, every time a ball is run near the goal line, someone comes up with a good block. This time it's the reserve tight end, Fred Baxter. He's going to seal it in here and allow Richardson to bounce it outside for the touchdown. That's what you got to get on the goal line. You got to get somebody. This time Richardson lines up in the backfield and makes the key block and walk into the end zone.
Kickoff taken by Baker, and a flag comes down as he was hit very close to the sideline at the 27.
Here it is one more time. Baxter's on your left. He seals it down, and that makes it easy for Richardson just to bounce outside. Very, very nice. Good looking back, isn't he, Ron?
He really is, considering the fact that
And how about what Pat Dye liked about him? When he talked about it, he said, I love the way the kid blocks.
We've already highlighted. Good heavens. I hate the soap bill on that tomorrow. You know, the two freshmen tonight, we've talked so much about the youngster from Florida State, Marvin Jones, and we see Richardson here, also a freshman fresh out of high school. Bennett. He won't get back to the line of scrimmage. Ricky Sutton was the first man to make penetration. Then Fernando Horn, submarine.
Actually, Fernando Horn, you were right, got through there with some penetration and made him stop a little bit, and everybody cleaned up. The senior, Fernando Horn, playing because Lamar Rogers, a guy they love, also is out this game. Defensive right tackle.
About to go under 3 minutes to play. Opening quarter, if you just joined us, 7-0. Auburn Tigers. Buckley fumbled a punt. Auburn took advantage and scored immediately. Flags go down. Movement on the right side of the line. I think you could see, I believe, Reggie Dixon come out of his stance, or Mancini, just before the ball was popped.
Ron, Florida State practiced with sound. Let's listen up to the call here. But I don't think you can simulate noise like this anywhere. Dawsey's going to come in motion on this play, and I think there was a big mix-up in the play because he is right behind the center. Watch him come in motion right here. And now watch when this ball is snapped. That's just a crowd noise penalty right there. Give the credit to 85,000 people on that play.
That's 3 penalties against the Seminoles for 34 yards as Dixon came out of the stance just a little early. Second down, and the Seminoles need the 25. Draw play. Amp Lee takes it out to the 15. And now it's going to be 3rd down and 10 as Mike Campbell came up defensively.
Stop by number 98, Mike Campbell.
Right now, they have to be careful. This is a tough situation. They do not want to make another mistake early in this football game. You know, something conservative here, maybe get 6, 7, 8 yards and punt the ball will be somewhat of a success.
The reason for the reaction is the Seminoles have just started their war chant. And
do they ever stop?
The Auburn crowd, every time it comes up, this has been going on since an hour and a half before the game, they boo. Looks for Dawson. Has it complete, almost broke off the last tackle. He'll be stopped short by 4 yards. Barlow got it.
Well, that was the strategy. Throw it short and hope he can run for the first down, but good tackling in that Auburn secondary. Dawsey can really run with that ball after he catches it, so the secondary for Auburn has to tackle well tonight.
Booming kick from Wimberley. This is Wasden. Straight up the middle, and Auburn will scrimmage in Florida State territory again. ESPN's regular season coverage of the National Football League kicks off on Sunday, November the 11th. That's when the 4-time Super Bowl champion San Francisco 49ers take on the Dallas Cowboys. Mike Patrick and Joe Theismann. Be sure and join the guys for all the action, 8 o'clock Eastern Time. That's on November the 11th. 1:10 left in this opening quarter. Auburn with a touchdown following a Florida State mistake. And right now with excellent field position. Well, the groan of the crowd told you what happened right there. Mistake. You know, we've had a lot of individual conversations in this ballgame. We're not through the first quarter yet.
Yeah, I think that, you know, some teams have, you know, role players that cover, and some teams have
illegal motion on the offense.
Role receivers and role runners. For at Florida State, you have role talkers. You know, there's a few guys where you just have to take over the mantle that Deion Sanders left right here, and there's some talking going on in this game. I'm sure it's been mentioned that it's the last 3 games, it's 3-0 Seminole.
To scrimmage, the Auburn 48. James Joseph, the lone setback. White has it complete at the 45 to Greg Taylor.
Number 16, Greg Taylor, out there
this was a throw that he was basically covered, and he just rips it out there again. The kid can just watch how smooth he is on his feet, how light, nice. He gathers himself, and he just rips it up. Puts a little touch on this one, right over the underneath coverage and right underneath the back coverage. What a nice throw. He's got a little chemistry going now with that guy. Greg Taylor and Stan White. I mean, they feel each other. They know where each other's going with it.
Stacey Danley in the ballgame gets the carry. Great defense is Terrell Buckley, who got picked on just a moment ago, comes up big in this play. And it's going to be a third down situation for the Tigers, and they look toward the Florida State 37 if they want to keep the drive going.
That short side corner gets in the backfield many times when you got split the other way, and Buckley's as good at it as anybody is. He's a real tough customer, and he doesn't mind sticking his nose in there.
He's only a sophomore out of Pascagoula, Mississippi, down on the Gulf Coast.
They don't have enough players out there. Yep, there's the timeout.
And you know, first of all, it was Stacey Danley who was looking around and hollered at his quarterback to say, "Stan, I only see 10. This ball club's tough enough to play with 11.
Yeah, that's what, you know, they had some problems against Tennessee the same way in substitution. When you run a sophisticated offense, they're using 4 wideouts, 3 wideouts, 2 tight ends. Substitution always is there you look at Pat Sullivan with Coach Dye. That's a tough job. Pat has to stand next to Pat Dye the whole game. Now, you know that he's going to get yelled at every time something goes wrong, whether it's not Pat's fault or not. He's got to hear it. The closest guy to the coach is going to hear it all night.
Well, James Joseph had this to say about playing the Seminoles from Florida State.
Couldn't ask for a better situation. To come into this game in the national picture to win it all, and knowing we got to go through Florida State, which is one of the best teams in the country. And the fact that we haven't beaten them in a while, that also means that that's a sentimental value as far as the seniors are concerned. Because this is the last shot we get at them, and we got them at home, and we don't want to waste that opportunity.
And that's the point. One of the things that Gary talked about in the opening of the telecast tonight, as well as Auburn has done against so many teams independently and also in a conference, this is a club that some seniors have not beaten. They don't want to leave school that way. White intercepted. McCorvey takes it back across the 45 and close to the 50-yard line as blocking continues downfield and the officials have to separate it.
Sometimes when you have confidence in your arm, it can backfire. This time he tried the same pass he tried earlier. Little play-action pass, and he was going to throw it between the 2 zones. It's not really a bad read. He's going to go to this guy. He's going to come out and back. But this corner right here drops back and gets the throw. It's one of those times that when you're a quarterback, you start to believe you can do anything with a football. And he throws it, it just doesn't get it high enough.
Casey Weldon in the ballgame at quarterback, and movement along the Florida State line. And Reggie Johnson moved before the snap, couldn't get back. Now he is a tight end and can reestablish, but what happened is Weldon continued to count, and the snap came at that time, so he didn't have the full count.
He was in motion at the snap.
That's right.
Casey Weldon is the junior. He was in a battle with Brad Johnson for the starting spot. We talked to Coach Bowden. He says one thing Casey does is look downfield a little bit more. Even though they're running this San Francisco offense, he would like to get the ball downfield a little bit more. Casey so far this year is 24 for 40, so he has gotten him some action. It's not like this is the first time he's played this year.
Shannon Baker in at wide receiver, comes wide to the right. It complete to Dawsey inside the 40 and down to the 37-yard line. Check it, it's Bennett. I beg your pardon, 22. What a great catch over the shoulder. That's good for 20 yards.
Left tackle Reggie Dixon picked up a nice stunt here. It allowed Casey Weldon the time to throw downfield. Watch him. He pops up, and then he takes the man as they turn, as they switch. And he keeps his feet moving. This is called screen blocking. Here's the nice throw. He had some people open short, but he waited on the play. Oh, what a nice play. Turns around and catches the ball going away from his body.
Weldon has come back from under center because the clock has gone to triple zeros, and that is the end of the first quarter with our score: Auburn 7 and Florida State nothing.
On a night like this, you'll be grateful for a safety feature found in almost every Chrysler car you rent from Thrifty. A safety feature Thrifty hopes you'll never see. It's an airbag. That's right, an airbag. In about half the time it takes to blink your eye, this airbag can inflate and save your life. At Thrifty, we take safety as seriously as savings. Thrifty, because it's your money.
It's feeding time for the beast in the basement again, and you know what that old furnace is going to do to your utility bills, but you don't have to let that monster upset your budget. Send for Tempstar's Home Comfort Guide. It's free consumer information about the savings you can obtain with a high-efficiency furnace. The Comfort Guide informs you so that you can make the right choice when the time comes to replace old equipment. Before you start that beast in your basement, start something that could save you money every month. The information is free, and so is the call.
This lady came in the other day. Some station downtown told her she needed new brakes and said it'd take 4 days. But you know, she only has the one car and she had to get to work. And missing one night of TV wasn't going to hurt me. So I told her, sure, I'd stay and get it done.
Good service is why people choose a place like Harlan Motors, and why places like Harlan Motors choose USF&G Insurance and their independent agents.
USF&G standing behind me.
At Compaq, before we build our desktop personal computers, we look at you. We look at what you do and the power and performance you need to get it done. Since introducing the world's first high-performance 386 PC, Compaq has never stopped, giving you more power, more speed, and the best of the latest technology. What to do? Well, that's up to you. Compaq. It simply works better.
This year, IndyCar racing was dominated by one man, Al Unser Jr., 1990 IndyCar champion.
If a driver ever told you, no, I don't get scared, I'm not scared, he's lying to you. The technology that goes into the IndyCar is second to none. Over half the field at Indy is using Valvoline. If there was a motor oil out there that was better, it would be in my car.
People who know.